So, welcome back to the Ignite Test Prep Raw Talk podcast. This one, there's no agenda, no outline, no real plan for the pod. We're really just going to give you the daily update of, obviously, Zach and I spend every single day, we're very much in the trenches because we very much care about the success of our kids. We have a lean team of specialists and we have a lean group of students who were taken into the Ivy League schools. So right now, we're just going to tell you a little bit about what's working, a little bit about some new updates. First item on the agenda, Gemini came out with some new stuff. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so Gemini came up with some new stuff, SAT prep. And honestly, I think this is very interesting because it's gonna really change the game. Because back when we were in school, we were mostly doing our test prep with a pencil and paper. Every single time we would have to print practice tests and all of that. But now in 2026, we have a different opportunity and we're taking different approaches because everything is going to online now. They're trying to transfer everything to online because it's easier to access.
Main
But
thing is these days, we're in January of 2026. Literally just 100 years ago, college wasn't even mainstream. And now we're in the thick of it. We have Ivy Leagues, you got the top 20. These are really the only schools that matter. And then you have these other schools. You got the bottom 50, as we like to call them. Because these schools, let's be honest, the way times are changing, a degree from these schools is really just getting less and less valuable. And so that's literally why Zach and I are so adamant about make sure your child's doing everything they can to get an Ivy League degree. Otherwise, they're going to be fending for themselves in the jungle of the future.
exactly, you want to make sure you're getting a specialized degree that when somebody looks at it, they instantly light their eyes up. You don't want them to wonder like what college even is that or what state is that college even in. You want an employer especially to look at your resume, look at the school you went to, look at your skills and be like instantly know this is somebody I want on my team. And so when you go to a college that isn't known or one that doesn't really specialize in what you want to go into in the future, you're really, really holding yourself back and just not allowing yourself to stand out in the way you need to.
Definitely, definitely. One thing that I realized is, I realized we haven't really shared with our community here on YouTube a little bit more about our personal stories. A little bit more about really just what worked for us when we were in high school. So I'll go first. I'll kind of just share what worked for me. So when I was in high school, my freshman year, first thing was I always knew I like sports. So I was doing track and I was also in the boxing gym, but obviously schools, okay, I'm gonna just send a text real quick. Think she had another option or two.
She sent it just to you.
Yeah. Um,
Really got that WAP noti in this morning.
the daily quota. 5 WAP out every day.
All that work we put in this week, that I came to, it actually paid off, bro. Actually paid off.
That's what I'm saying. See, business, bro, it's really just a gamble. You put in you put all your chips in, and
Exactly. And the good thing is we're so retarded enough to take those gambles. It's
exactly.
perfect. Uh,
Like,
And
that's what
that's
we
how it's
were
gotta
gonna
be.
do.
You see,
Nice.
nobody takes the gamble like us, bro.
Not genuine. And to be honest, that's a little bit about kind of just what worked for us in high school. So yeah, like kind of
Fuck,
like I was saying, in freshman year, right? When I went into high school, I was obviously locked in on my sports. So I knew I wanted to keep doing track and field. My personal goal was to set some records. So my freshman year, all that was on my mind actually was I wanted to break 5 minutes on the mile. So when I was like 13, 14, that was all I cared about. And so really all I cared about was track my freshman year. So I didn't honestly care about my grades too much. But I took all honors, all APs. It was like AP World, AP Computer Science. And then, so what actually happened though was in like the fall of my freshman year, I was just walking after school, some of my homies, and there's a big auditorium. And in the auditorium, a lot of people are there and they're listening to a speech. So I'm like, I wonder what this is all about. So I roll into that speech, and it was a speech about the debate team. But what really stood out to me was he talked about how basically every captain of the debate team that he had, they all went to great schools. So this like he was like the debate team administrator kind of thing, also the A push teacher. And he was talking about how like his captain that year went to Northwestern, the captain the year before went to Stanford. So I'm sat there listening, and that was kind of the first time that I thought about the future of like where I wanted to go to school. Cause I was like, all right, after I get, a little bit older, it's gonna be time to really just kind of put these grades and these things into motion. So then I was like, let's see what happens. So sat there in that debate meeting. I was like, let me just pull my name down. Pull my name down, get invited to some tournament, pull up, end up doing mad good. And then I was like, wait, this could get me into a great school. So then that's how my freshman year, I was doing track. I was doing boxing was outside of school, and I knew it would never really look good for school. So I don't think I ever really put that on my resumes or anything. So it was like track and field. Then I had debate on my resume. And then I knew I had a talent for writing because my freshman year, one of my English teachers submitted one of my essays and got me like $1,000 cash prize and like some state writing awards, things like that. So I joined the school newspaper, got leadership awards for that, lead news editor, all that. I got NHS just from having good grades, I think. And then what else did I do? Track was indoor and outdoor. Debate, I ended up being captain, state champion 2 years in a row, and like a top 10 speaker in the nation. Then school newspaper did really good on that, but it was just leadership. Outside of that, I did win awards actually for writing, and those national awards for writing also went a long way. And so it was really just great grades, 1580 SAT, and then all those extracurriculars, put it all together. And that got me into a grade school for computer science, 5% acceptance rate, scholarships, all that good stuff. And so that's really what worked for me. And basically, after I got a 1580 sophomore year, I was like, let me try to help other people as well. A lot of people came to me, and that's how I first got my start SAT tutoring as well. Zach, let's hear about your story.
Excellent story, Solvik. All right, so let me tell you mine. So mine really started when honestly, let's start when I was in around 5th grade. When I was in 5th grade, for some reason, I had a hyperfixation when it came to math. I really loved math. I was always doing math. I was doing math for fun. I'm not gonna lie. It sounds weird, but I was doing math for fun. But not only did I like math, I also liked sports. I was always outside. I was always doing that. I was just trying to be a balanced student. But then one day, my dad ended up coming to me and he started doing research on my local high school. And he started looking at it and he was like, our local high school it really isn't the best when it comes to education because of the place I grew up in. And he was just really worried about where my future was going to be headed when it came to education, just due to where we were at. And so he started telling me, I've been looking around. I found a couple schools. There's this one boarding school that's a couple minutes away that you could go to, and it's the number one school in America. And they specialize in mathematics and science. And I was like, "Oh, that sounds great. That sounds pretty great." And so he was like, "You know what? Let's get this ball rolling. Let's see how we could get into this." And I'm like, "All right." And so we both started looking up some programs. We saw that uh you had to apply freshman year and then you end up going to that school sophomore year. And so we started instantly when I was in like 6th, 7th grade, we started attending programs that accepted younger kids before they went to that school. So there was like programs where they would basically show you exactly how you could have a good chance into making it into that school compared to everybody else. So I started going to those programs on the weekends. I met a lot of people that I still talk to today. Some of them are literally my best friends. And so we would have good times there. Not only were we just doing education stuff, but we were also just getting to know each other, talking about our lives and just just having a good time. And so let's say it when it came to the freshman year, I went to high school. I crushed that high school. I got all A's. I took two AP classes, so my weighted GPA was over a 4.0. I just crushed it. That school was just really easy for me. So I used that, submitted my grades, my transcripts, and then I had to take the SAT. So I was practicing SAT nonstop before I got to ninth grade. And so by the time I got to ninth grade, my SAT score was already good. My grades were already good. And then that's when it was time for me to apply to that boarding school. I sent over everything and instantly I was accepted. I went there sophomore year. Ended up having to, from sophomore year to senior year of high school, I lived there. I was away from my parents. And so it really gave me a sense of just ownership, and it really showed me how to be independent and just take control of my own life. And when I was in that school, uh, I realized that not only can I just be studying all the time, I also got to be giving my study tips and stuff like that to other students, especially younger students. And so I started doing a lot of tutoring. During the summers, I would tutor kids who wanted to get into that same boarding school that I was attending. I would tutor them all summer. And not only tutor them, I would play activities with them, do like some fun group activities, just leadership things. And yeah, that's basically what I did in high school. And so I feel like that really molded me as a student because from a young age, I was always doing a lot of stuff by myself. I was self studying, I was teaching others, I was coming up with my own ideas, choosing which classes I needed to pick, choosing all of that stuff. And the craziest thing about it was the rigor of just the curriculum at that school was not easy at all. And so every class was at the level of like an AP class, basically. So there weren't AP classes at that school, but the level which you needed to know the material was at that AP level. So getting an A in a class, just any class in that school in general, was not easy. It took a lot of work. And to be quite frank with you, it was much harder than college, which is another reason why I was very prepared when it came to the college application process. But yeah, that was basically my life in high school.
And share a little bit about what you did in high school that helped you get into a really good college as well.
You're right, you're right. So what I did in high school was one of the main things I did was tutoring. Tutoring, I had over, I would say over, definitely over 1,000 hours of tutoring in high school. And so when they saw that, they, colleges were really impressed because they saw that I was able to not only retain information, but relay it to others. But not only was I just an academic person, I was very heavy into sports. And so my school, I was the captain of the basketball team. So I was the leading point guard and I was doing that for like 3 years. And so I also did that, but I also did track as well, just like Solvik. I won a bunch of track medals. I had a bunch of relays that I won with my team. And not only that, but I was also joining a bunch of leadership clubs, just making sure that I was always the leader of something because I didn't want to be normal. I didn't want to be like the rest of everybody else in my class. And then, yeah, because of the fact that I went to such a prestigious school, it really boosted me because uh, colleges knew that school. They knew it wasn't easy to get into. And so I had a line of colleges that wanted to accept me simply just because of the school I went to. And the fact that I also had good grades, a high SAT score, I was doing sports, leadership activities, and my essays, I wrote about my passions. I wrote about everything I did. I wrote about how I loved computer science, all of that. And so it really just made my application stand out. And I made it into all of the colleges I wanted to get into.
That's what we like to hear. Yes, sir. And then obviously, we ended up going into computer science. But what we really discovered is that the right kind of system can get any student into Ivy League universities. And so that's what we really just started to work on. We started to put our passion into practice, and we started to really just execute on a methodology that works universally across the board.
Exactly. Exactly. And so we've just been really honed in on that. And now we are here today. Me and Solvik are now trying as hard as we can to just make sure that the next generation is properly prepared when it comes to college applications. They're going into good schools, but not only that, they're also getting scholarship money and learning how to not pay full price because we do not want to do that and we don't want to leave that burden on parents. So, now that we have said all that, the most important thing is make sure you find someone just like Solvik and I who properly show you that it may not be easy to get into a good college, but it is definitely doable. But it just takes proper preparation and you have to take the right steps. So if you want more guidance from me and Solvik, make sure to go to ignitetestprep.com/blackbook, download that black book, and some of those tips that we gave you today are directly on that black book. You could read it there and it'll definitely be a game changer. So thanks for tuning in on this video. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Percent. Catch y'all later. Peace.